everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Flo Facebook Live with Flo. I'm just adjusting the camera height a little bit. It's a little high today. Let's see if that's better. That's a little bit better. Oh, I'm happy to be back. Happy Thursday. It's the day after International Women's Day. So happy International Women's Day, one day after. Today we're talking about why PMS is not something that you should be dealing with. I'm Alisa Vitti. I am the founder of Flow Living, the author of A Woman Code, and the creator of the My Flow app. And I'm really excited to just always be coming to you live on Thursdays at 2 p.m. Eastern Time to talk about all things to talk about all things period related, but really it's about transmitting information that you should have access to, and should have had access to a long time ago, but somehow we just don't get access to it. So I'm just here to spread the good word about your ovaries and how you need to take care of them and how you can benefit from having a really good relationship with them. So, but today we're going to be zeroing in on PMS and how to navigate that and how to work with it and how to benefit from the week before your period when you can get rid of your symptoms. So I want to talk a little bit about some things I want to share with you, and then I want to take your questions. So first and foremost, hi everybody. So excited to see all of you joining. It's wonderful to be back with you again. So first and foremost, is right off the bat, I want to say that, PMS is a hormonal imbalance. It's not this destiny that you have to experience every month. Hi, Christina. Hi, Marella. Hi, Denise. It's not part of the deal, so to speak, with your period. Like, you're supposed to get your period, but you're not supposed to get PMS. And only if your progesterone and estrogen are not in balance do you, in fact, get PMS. And so I think that's just really an important place for us to start because, so many of our, so much of how we care for our periods actually comes out of this cultural mythology that our periods are mysterious and complicated and not fixable, and you kind of just get what you get. It's like the luck of the draw. If you have a bad period, that's just how it's always going to be. And I think that that's really unfortunate because it's just not even scientifically true. So I'm here to tell you the good news that your PMS is completely fixable. But the majority of us, experience a lot of variety of symptoms, right? Like bloating and mood swings and fatigue and acne, breast tenderness, even cramping before your period even starts, insomnia, depression, anxiety. Sound familiar? How many of you are struggling with PMS symptoms? If you can just let me know that you're dealing with PMS with some icon or some little high five. Let me know. And yeah, I know so much PMS, but I'm glad that you joined me today because I'm gonna give you some of my favorite foods to eliminate PMS right away. I'm also going to give you one of my favorite juice recipes that you can use during your luteal phase so that, if you're dealing with any symptoms, this is kind of like a really good cure-all. Okay. Wonderful, wonderful. I'm going to ask, Sarah, I'm sorry, I look a little distracted. I'm getting lots of comments. It's hard for me not to read your comments while I'm talking to you. Yes, PMDD. Sarah has a question about PMDD and its causes. And does that mean that you have a more severe hormonal imbalance? Yes and no. It means that you're more sensitive to your own hormones. And so we can talk about that too. I may have to do a separate Facebook Live just for PMDD because it's kind of like its own animal. And I know that women with PMDD struggle to find information, so I don't want to give you not enough information. The thing that one of the things I love about the MyFlow app, which if you haven't downloaded it yet, you should go to myflowtracker.com and download the app. PMDD, by the way, is premenstrual dysphoric disorder. So anyway, we'll do questions at the end. Okay, so keep them coming. With the MyFlow app, if you haven't downloaded it, please go to myflowtracker.com and get this app, because one of the things that the app will help you do is identify what within the constellation of all the different PMS symptoms that you could have, which ones do you have, what is causing those, and give you food prescriptions to help you have a PMS-free cycle the very next month. I mean, what is the point of tracking your period if you can't improve it month after month, right? So that you feel really good. And here's just what I'm talking about. So my husband was at dinner with friends a while ago, and a bunch of guy friends, they were out for like steak dinner and having their little boys' night out. And I guess it got to the point in the evening where the men start talking about the ladies in their life. Who knew they're talking about us as much as we're talking about them? And so they all were going around the table and saying, oh yeah, like, PMS, it's like a drag. It really interrupts this aspect of our marriage, our relationship, da 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 da. And they're kind of all, I don't know what to do. Sound familiar? And then it was my husband's turn, and they were like, so what's the story? And he's like, I really don't have anything to tell you. And they're like, come on, you got to have something. And he's like, actually, no. My wife helps other women balance their hormones for a living. And, of course, she has balanced her own, and so she doesn't have any PMS. And they were like, what? How's that possible? And he's like, you got to read the book. So I have a lot of guys who read Woman Code because they're curious, what is all of this about? And I actually really applaud that. I think we're all missing an education about how our bodies work, men too. They don't necessarily know what's going on with their own system. And it really does hold us back in some fundamental ways. So I love anyone who wants to learn about the female body. It only elevates us all when we all know how everything works. So, encourage your men, your friends, your sons to read it. It's a good read. So I want that for you. And, by using the MyFlow Tracker, right, the MyFlow app, myflowtracker.com, you can start to identify your weak areas, what's causing the symptoms, and then by next cycle start to really have an improvement in the quality of your period. I mean, this is just what I've been doing for the past 16 years, so it works. So let's see, what else do I want to say in my notes here? Okay, yeah. Let's talk about PMS a little bit more deeply. Let's talk about this, like what I want you to know. So the luteal phase is the 10 to 12 days before your period starts, okay? And we call this the PMS phase, but that's really a misnomer because you're only having PMS is because you have an imbalance between estrogen and progesterone. When you have more estrogen than you have with progesterone, you end up in a situation where you have a lot of those symptoms that we don't like. But that's not how it's supposed to be. You're supposed to have enough progesterone to offset the effects of all that estrogen so that you feel good. Really, you really should feel no symptoms whatsoever, except that you know that your period is coming. I mean, that is the honest truth. So you shouldn't feel exhausted. You might feel a little bit more inwardly focused. You might feel more like staying in and nesting, but that's the effect of progesterone on the brain. And let's talk about this effect, right? Because we associate it with such a negative experience, like, oh, the second half of my cycle is so bad, and it's such a wasted time. it's really not supposed to be a time that's sort of lost, right? I think a lot of women experience the second half of their month as like a lot of missed opportunities. They feel like they can't give their all, but that's only because your hormones are out of balance. When they're in balance and you have this adequate level of progesterone, you feel like you can finish and get things done with such pleasure and such, efficiency. That's really your experience. Progesterone has a profoundly powerful impact on your brain chemistry in terms of like completing things. So it is a time to like buckle down, put your head down, and like get things done or get things completed in the home or at work or whatever you're working on. This is the time where you're going to bring it to completion, bring it to fruition. And that's exciting. I mean, imagine if you just walked around your whole life thinking, boy, one half of the month, I'm really good at starting things, and the other half of the month, I'm really good at finishing things. Just even that distinction, if you believed that to be what your biology was helping you to do, supporting you to do, one half of the month, I'm really good at beginning, and one half of the month, I'm really good at finishing. Wow, instead of one half of the month I feel good and I have enough energy to do what I want to do, and the other half of the month it's like a crapshoot and I wonder if I'll even get out of bed, right? Which is kind of how we walk around operating, like, ooh, I wonder when my body is going to fail, or going to let me down, not going to be there for me when I want to do all these other things. It's such an unnecessary set of beliefs that we walk around holding around our bodies, and it all comes from this poor education we receive around our cycles. And we're not taught how our bodies function biochemically, and hormonally. We're not taught how to nourish them properly so that they stay healthy. And then we're actively told that our bodies are like bad and mysterious and are not going to be easy to deal with. So, I mean, how are any of us supposed to feel good with that kind of a upbringing about our bodies? How are any of us supposed to have a good relationship when that's the case? So I want to set the record straight for those of you who are here and watching that for certain you are designed by nature to feel excellent every day of the month. That is a fact. And anytime you have a symptom, it is your body's way of telling you that something that you're eating or something that's going on with your lifestyle is compromising your endocrine function, and it's causing that symptom. That's it. The symptom does not need to stay. As soon as you address it by changing the diet according to what is needed and addressing that lifestyle issue, the symptom will leave. And that's a signal that you've given the body the nourishment that it needs. That's it. I mean, I'm like, that's all it is. And so I really want to impart just how easy it is, and how the first thought that you have when you have a PMS symptom should not be, ugh, my PMS. That's not the thought that you should have. The first thought that you should have is, oh, my body's telling me something's wrong. I need to get into action with food and with life. That should be your first thought. If you have a symptom, the immediate response is, what can I eat and what can I shift with my life that can make this symptom go away? Because I have the power to do that with food and lifestyle. If every woman could just shift that little belief to, I can't do anything about this suffering, to I can do everything to make this go away naturally, I would be so happy. I really would be. You can see how like passionately I feel about this, and thank you for the love. I want you to feel good, and you can. You really just have to get into the right situation with food. So, of course, we talk a lot about, so there's foods that you can use medicinally in the luteal phase. So I kind of want to go into that now, but I want to preface that with just this sort of concept. I'm sorry, I'm so distracted today because you guys are writing such interesting things. But thank you, Cassandra. Yes, food is medicine for the body. And Lynn, I would love for you to try the flow protocol because it's all designed to help you. Lynn is saying that she's having a hard time believing that she could get out of premenstrual suffering, and she's tried some things in the past with no results. And I believe that, honey. I tried a lot of things for my PCOS without a lot of results. I understand that frustration. But what's so special about the Flow protocol and all the programs at Flow and the app is that it's all based on this sequential and cumulative dietary approach to the endocrine system. So we're not spot treating symptoms. We're really saying, how do we have to nourish the endocrine system so it can do its job? There's no way that we can be, efficient enough to try to keep our estrogen levels balanced or our progesterone levels balanced. I mean, anybody who's even had a thyroid issue and has been put on synthetic thyroid hormone knows how difficult it is just with supplementing with that one hormone, how difficult it is to maintain the right balance. You have to constantly get it checked. You have to constantly adjust your medication. That's a form of spot treating, right? How do we go underneath because the endocrine system is miraculously designed to do this for us perfectly, but we have to feed it the way that it needs to be fed. And there's one way it wants to be fed, and that's what the Flow protocol is all based on. And then, and Sarah, I'm so glad, yes, and Jakaima, I am so glad that you have gone through this process and it's changed your life. And Lynn, you've got the thyroid issues too, so the food changes your thyroid performance. Good. So, I would say you just may have not stumbled upon the right protocol for your PMS, but that's what's so special about the Flow protocol. It really is uniquely targeted for supporting the endocrine system as a whole. And so I really just so passionate about women understanding that they can really improve their cycle each month. And so I don't just want you to target your PMS, because if you have PMS, chances are good that you've got some other issues throughout the rest of the cycle. For example, you may have elevated estrogen during the ovulatory phase. How do you know if you might have that? Well, you may have it because you break out along the jawline during ovulation, right? I used to get that. I used to have such terrible cystic acne. Hi everyone. For anyone who's joining, I'm Alisa Vitti. I'm the founder of Flow Living, author of Woman Code, creator of the My Flow app. Welcome. We're talking about PMS today, and we're going to take some cues at the end. You may have other symptoms. You may have anxiety throughout the month. You may be tired. You may not just have PMS during the week before your period. You may notice that you're not feeling great in general. So this is where one key component of the protocol is really great, which is the cycle syncing piece, which has you eating specific foods for specific phases of your cycle to help balance all the hormones in play. So it's a really comprehensive program. And I actually want to address this question now because Erica brings up a beautiful question. Thank you for asking it. She's pretty sure she has leaky gut plus hormonal issues, and she's trying to figure out how to approach that. Yeah, Erica, anyone with a hormonal issue is pretty much guaranteed to have leaky gut. It's part of the process. And the third step of the protocol is addressing the gut issue, the microbiome issue. So rest assured that the Flow protocol will help you. Not to mention that cycle syncing will have you eating in a way that really heals and seals the gut each and every phase. So it's really, it's a woman's protocol, right? It's the way to take care of a woman's body. This is what the Flow protocol does. Whatever is happening, the protocol will really address it because we're looking at really supporting the deeper structures. I had tremendous leaky gut. My gosh, let me just tell you about my childhood. Italian family, everything was white bread, white pasta, white flour. My mom was an avid baker, so it was like cookies and pies and the woman just baked constantly. And it was all homemade, which was great because it didn't have chemicals, but it was like white flour, white sugar, dairy, cheese all the time, milk all the time, and on top of that, overexposure to antibiotics. I mean, I was on antibiotics all the time for strep throat and ear infections and whatever else. It was when I was a child, the antibiotics were like the thing. You would just take antibiotics for anything. And by the time I hit puberty, my gut was just a disaster. I mean, a disaster. I was chronically getting sick because my microbiome was off, and of course my hormones were already screwed up by the time I was 9, and I didn't end up menstruating until I was 16, and then I ended up with, PCOS. So certainly leaky gut is near and dear to my heart, and you better believe that the protocol addresses it. So Erica, you should feel really confident that we got your gut, we got your ovaries, we got your back. So let's see. I guess before I go into like the foods that I want to share, I'll just share like my experience of my premenstrual phase, just so you know kind of what I experienced. So because I've been living the protocol now for 17 or 18 years, and certainly it's restored my. I'm in total remission with PCOS. I've been able to have a child. I've been able to breastfeed. I feel like I'm in good shape in terms of my health markers, my biomarkers for health, and that's all due to this protocol. So before, I would have pretty severe PMS with lots of mood swings and bloating and breast tenderness and acne, and now, really all that happens to me now is I know I'm in the second half of my cycle. I know I'm approaching my period. My discharge changes from the cervical fluid that indicates ovulation to just sort of like more of a general kind of present lubrication. And then what else? I feel a little bit more inwardly focused. I want to kind of finish things at work and projects. I tend not to want to go out and run around and do a ton of things. I tend to try to prioritize more time for my reading or projects or just doing things at home. Sex drive is good. I would say up until 2 or 3 days before my period, and then I'm just kind of like really wanting some time to myself. That's it. That's PMS, or actually no PMS, right? So it's just that's the observation of my body through the luteal phase, right? So this is something that I want for you, where you're just observing what's happening and responding and trying to organize your life around those subtle physical shifts. But it should not be this dramatic, like suffering where, I've had clients who've told me they have to keep like a separate wardrobe for the luteal phase because they just can't fit into their normal clothes. This is like not good. This is not normal. You should feel like you should take that really seriously. And actually, just to back this up with a little research, the NIH published a really important study like a decade ago. It's old news, but none of us know about it. It's called the Bioidentical study. And I talk about it all the time because they really linked here the fact that our PMS, actually, if we leave it untreated in our 20s and 30s, will end up making us more likely to suffer from the diseases of inflammation postmenopausally. So that would be, let's see, what are those diseases of inflammation? So you have PMS in your 20s, and here's what you may have to look forward to in your 60s. Diabetes, heart disease, cancer, and dementia. If we were told that PMS is an early potential indicator of this kind of inflammation systemically, don't you think any woman who had PMS would be like all over managing that, right? Getting rid of it? Of course. We're so good. I just want to like acknowledge how loving you are, how wonderful you are, how thoughtful you are. You care about so many things. You want to try to do the best that you can. I feel you. And I just think it's a factor of the issue that there isn't an easy way to find out about all this information, which is why I built flowliving.com. There just needs to be a place for your periods, and that's what Flow Living is. And so, you know, when you have any PMS, it shouldn't be something that we joke about to commiserate with our friends. It should be like, oh my God, I'm on fire. Let me go get the bucket of water and put out the fire right away. You know, if you have a symptom, you want to take it really seriously, like as if you were on fire, right? And not just put it off and not just say, oh, well, that's the best that I can hope for, or this is what I deserve. I'm a woman. This is my destiny to suffer. I mean, it's just all false. You deserve to feel good. I mean, we don't like to tolerate being in dysfunctional relationships with lovers, right? We don't want to be treated badly. We don't want to feel bad when we're in a relationship with someone else, right? And we know that we shouldn't tolerate that. But there's it's like we still kind of believe that we should tolerate not feeling good because of our periods. And let me assure you that Mother Nature, the divine, however you want to believe it, do not have in their intention to be in a dysfunctional relationship. Your body and you are not meant to be in a dysfunctional relationship. You should not be under the impression that that this is the best that you should have, and that this is all that it's going to be, and there's no way around it, and it's just not even scientifically sound. So I hope that I've convinced you at least today that PMS is not part of the deal. What I want to do now, and again, if you haven't downloaded the app, please do, myflowtracker.com, and make sure that you start cycle syncing, start working on the protocol to really address your PMS. But I do want to share some of the foods that I think are a great place to get started, and then I'm going to take some questions, okay? So first, like top foods that I think are really good for you to start incorporating. Chickpeas. Chickpeas are my favorite for PMS because they're rich in vitamin B6, which is an important micronutrient for the production of progesterone. So, a little chickpea addition, hummus. Make sure the hummus doesn't have canola oil, though, because the canola oil will actually increase the likelihood of you having cramps, which we don't want to have. It's the wrong kind of fat. So just plain chickpeas, or make your own hummus, or buy a hummus that just has olive oil in it. Kale and any leafy green is a really great thing to have to help combat PMS for a couple reasons. It's rich in magnesium, which will help with all the bloating and all of that. But it's also going to really, really help. It's full of 3-indole carbinol, which is really going to help you metabolize that excess estrogen that is the root cause of your PMS, right? So the chickpeas are going to help you make more progesterone, which is addressing the root cause of your PMS, and the leafy greens are going to help break down more estrogen, which is also addressing the root cause, right? Coconut yogurt is another really good thing with the probiotics, but also the really important essential fatty acids to help you make more of that good progesterone. You need fats to help you stabilize your hormones. And then I'll end with sweet potatoes and bone broth. My top 5 favorite foods. Sweet potatoes are really good because most of us have sugar cravings during the luteal phase, not because it's like the magical time for sugar, but because we need more carbohydrates to keep to help us have adequate supply of B vitamins to help us with the whole progesterone thing. So instead of reaching for cookies and chips and popcorn, I would suggest you like roast up some sweet potatoes in advance, or some delicata squash, or any sweet root vegetable that you like, even carrots. And carrots have the added benefit of really having extra vitamin A to help the liver break down estrogen even more. But all sweet root vegetables have a lot of vitamin A, so that's a really good thing. And then bone broth is just full of electrolytes and minerals, and it's just a wonderful tonic, and certainly will help with any leaky gut issues to help you navigate your PMS. So those are my top 5 foods. And then if you were going to do a juice, you could do this the week before your PMS week, right? So the week before your luteal phase is your ovulatory phase. So when you're ovulating, I would recommend that you work on if you're trying to work on getting rid of PMS, this would be a good time the week before during ovulation, when it's really good to have raw foods, to do this kind of raw juice, okay? It's less ideal to have raw fruits and veggies during the luteal phase, because you need more warming cooked things. That's a whole other conversation. Okay, so this is like, I call it the anti-bloatini, but it's really like you're preventing PMS juice. You're going to take like a beet, a carrot, an apple, some celery, some cucumber, kale, cilantro, and lemon, and just juice everything. I would not put this in the Vitamix. I mean, you can if you really want to be like a champion of fiber, but I would just juice it, and there'll be a ton of juice, and you can have it over the course of 2 or 3 days, and it will really help you, during leading you into the luteal phase very successfully. Again, the carrots especially really help with estrogen. The cilantro. All of it's a good thing. So you can go to the Flow Living blog for the exact recipe. If you look at flowliving.com, and you'll go to the blog and just Google PMS juice recipe, and you'll see it there. All right, so now I'm going to take some of your questions because I feel like that's really what we need. Let's see here. And it's 2:30, so the sun is shining bright in my apartment. So if I look like I'm glowing, that's what it is. Okay. I see a really interesting question from Bethany Hope. Hi, Bethany. You have 2 good questions. How can I detox the excess estrogen from my body? And, I love this question. I love coffee. I love it. I feel like everyone's saying just stop. Is that true, or can I keep coffee? It's a good question. All right, let's start with the estrogen. And I'm going to, I think someone, Katie Perkins asked a question about DIM for estrogen dominance. So let's kind of like, and Alenka, she got her period back thanks to the book and the program. Awesome, Alenka, that's so great. You're going to have to email me so we can share your story. I love hearing these stories. Okay, so, all right, so we're talking about estrogen. How do we detox from excess estrogen? So I don't want you to think about it as like you just do this estrogen detox one time and then, that's it. You want to think about the fact that your body is constantly cycling every month, and every month is having surges of estrogen during ovulation and during the luteal phase. So you are, at any time when these 2 things are happening, these 2 phases, you are having exposure to more estrogen. And this is what's so brilliant about the cycle syncing process, is that you're eating foods really strategically during these phases to help offset the estrogen that is naturally in abundance during these phases. Because, that's kind of what you want to be in the habit of, is always managing that, because it's always going to be an abundant estrogen time during ovulation and the luteal phase. So you can't really detox from estrogen just once and expect that to handle your estrogen, because you're in a cyclical biochemical process. You have to remember that, and I know that it's tricky because, we're not told that that's the case, and then, we just are expected, I think we expect ourselves to operate like men, which have a 24-hour cycle, and they're the same every day, So it's kind of we have to sort of shift our inner thinking. So what I would say to you, Bethany, is you want to think about using food. Food is the safest way to consistently detox from estrogen on a continuous daily and cyclical basis, and that's what's so brilliant about cycle syncing. So download the app and learn about how to cycle sync, and it will really be the best way for you to safely detox from estrogen. As to the question about the DIM, DIM is a little controversial because of some of the risks that are associated with it. I think in some cases it can be appropriate, but in more cases, I think taking something more gentle, like milk thistle, which is an herb, can be an assist to the liver. But see, again, this is why I like food more, because food is safe, and what food is actually doing is providing your liver with the micronutrients it needs to do its pathways of detoxification. Right, your liver actually has to suck in from your bloodstream all these micronutrients, vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin B, glutathione, selenium, zinc. All of these are required to be stored in the liver itself, in its organ, in its tissue, and so that it can go through all of its different metabolic processes to detoxify your estrogen, among other things it's detoxifying you from. So you want to be eating a very phytonutrient dense diet, which you do in the cyclical eating plan that we teach you at Flow Living, so that you can be ready to do that. And then you don't have to rely on, extreme supplementation, which I think is always preferable. Okay, Bethany, to your question about coffee. I love coffee. I love it. I feel like everyone says, just stop. Is that true? Can I keep coffee? And I think it's a really relevant thing. And there's so many people still joining. Hi, everyone. I'm Alisa Vitti, founder of Flow Living, author of Woman Code, and creator of the My Flow app, which you can download at myflowtracker.com. And we're talking about PMS today. And Bethany has a question about coffee. And I think it's so relevant because I think women drink more coffee during their PMS week because they're tired and they're cranky and they're irritable and they you want something warm and you just want to feel better, and coffee is like this thing, Coffee is a really powerful drug, and I don't know why it's not more of a controlled substance. I think we'll look back and maybe question that, but no. It is powerfully addictive, like sugar, and some of us cannot break it down. And so I wonder when some of that genetic testing will be more widely available. There's actually a gene. You either have it or you don't. If you have it, you can't safely consume coffee. If you don't have it, you can. So this is the deal. But for the majority of women who, and how would you know? Here's a great way. How would you know? If after you drink caffeine of any sort, but especially coffee, you feel really like jittery and you feel really, jittery. I'm trying to remember how I used to feel. It was like jittery, edgy, like a little like a little frazzled. Chances are good you're not breaking down that caffeine really easily. And then if you have a really strong kind of funky smell to your urine after you drink caffeine, that's also indicative that you're not metabolizing that caffeine efficiently. So it's not really good for you. But in addition, they also have conducted research to show that women who consume 2 cups of coffee a day, and men, in fact, this also affected men too, actually decrease their successful outcome of IVF. So there's a reproductive impact, certainly, on drinking caffeine. And then, of course, if you're trying to keep your cycle regular and have regular ovulation, it's super important to stay away from caffeine because that can disrupt the cortisol and insulin channels that will then stop ovulation. If you're anxious and nauseous after drinking coffee, think of that like you're having an allergic reaction to a food, right? It's not you, it's the coffee, and it's not something that you want to take in. So that's what I would say about coffee. I know you love it. Listen, I used to love it a lot, okay? A lot. I mean, I was someone who drank coffee a lot. So much so that I developed a fluid-filled cyst in my breast, which I didn't know was caused by the caffeine. So at a young age, I remember, being examined by my GYN and them not being sure what this was at first, and they had to call in specialists, and oh my goodness, and da-da-da. And of course, I then learned that caffeine can also increase the proliferation, the development of cysts in the reproductive structures, the breast, the ovaries. So if you're someone who doesn't metabolize caffeine well, which I clearly am not, it can increase these types of cysts, which can become problematic for ovulation and healthy breast health. So, I, after that, was very clear that caffeine and I just didn't get along. And so that was the end of caffeine for me. And I've been almost 20 years now, no caffeine of any sort, no black tea, no green tea, no coffee, no nothing. And, I'm a busy person. I have a kid. I haven't been sleeping through the night for very long because she's been a baby, and I still do it all without caffeine. So I share that with you because you can have adequate, healthy energy levels without jacking up your system with caffeine, and especially during PMS. But to replace the ritual, which I know is delightful, I would really look at some of the wonderful alternatives. I mean, my go-to is kukicha tea. I love kukicha tea. It's the twigs that the little green tea leaves grow on. So the twigs don't have any caffeine, but they're nutty and wonderful, and bless the person who figured out to roast these and turn them into tea, because I just love it. And I do a kukicha tea with rooibos, just a plain rooibos blend. So I'm getting the wonderful antioxidants. I mean, rooibos has more antioxidants than green tea. So I do a combo of kukicha for the nutty, brown, earthy, coffee-like kind of vibe, and then the rooibos for the antioxidants. And that is my go-to brew if I want to feel like I'm having that ritual of coffee. But you can find so many alternatives, which we have on the blog as well. But I support you in trying to break the coffee habit. Even if you're just reducing it dramatically, that's going to help you quite a bit. Okay, let's see. More questions about PMS. Let's see. What do I think of maca? And then I'm going to take the question about Elizabeth asking a question about trying to conceive. And so, Elizabeth, while I'm answering the question about maca, can you flesh out your question a little bit more? Because I'm not sure what you're asking, but if it's about treating your luteal phase issues in order to improve conception, if that's the question, then I'll answer that question. But if it's something else, go ahead and type in your clarification. So Maria is asking about maca. What do I think about it? I have a whole article on the blog about maca. I think it can be really great. I think it's really, really great for women who are in the perimenopausal stage, so after 35. I really love it because it really helps. It's an adaptogen, so it really helps you smooth out the fluctuations that are naturally a part of the perimenopausal journey, which starts at 35 and can last anywhere from 10 to 15 years. So I love it for that. And if you want more information on maca, I would definitely check out the article on the blog. It's very comprehensive. Elizabeth asking about the luteal phase, and let's just see if she added anything else. I'm scrolling. No. Okay. So Dominique, welcome. I'm so happy you found me. I'm so happy that you found me and that you're happy about that. Katie asked a question about chocolate. No, chocolates you can have. Chocolate's good for you. Chocolate is the richest source of dietary magnesium that you can have per serving. And you need magnesium during the luteal phase to help with managing all the micronutrients that are required to help you have a healthy balance of estrogen and progesterone. So organic dark chocolate, like 70%, 65%, eat it, love it, have a lot. It's good. Okay, let me go back to that. I'm just scrolling through here. And someone asked a great question, Erica, about bioidentical progesterone cream and PMS. I'm going to answer that one too. That's a really good one. You guys are so smart asking me all these great questions. Maria, what a smart question. When is the best time during your cycle to do the 4-day detox? That's like a masterful question. Quick answer to that is during either the follicular phase or ovulation, not at all during the luteal phase or the menstrual phase? So excellent question. I hope that answered it. Thank you, Anastasia. Thank you for saying that. I'm so glad you're 21 and you're so grateful that you found me early in life so that you can like be a healthy person. I love that. I'm going to cry. That makes me so happy. Can you imagine if every girl at like 12 could know about how to do this? It would be world changing. So I'm so happy that you're in the Flow family, and good for you for finding this. All right. So back to Elizabeth's question about, what if you have some problems with PMS and you're trying to conceive? Well, that's a huge thing, because in order for you to be able to conceive, you have to have adequate levels of progesterone. And what is PMS? PMS is the situation where you have inadequate levels of progesterone. So you want to take your PMS seriously, and you want to do a couple of cycle syncing cycles where you really do the Flow protocol and you really boost all the nutrient support that you need throughout the cycle so that you have a beautiful luteal phase without any symptoms, and you have adequate levels of progesterone so that you can successfully conceive 100%. Great question. Okay, I'm going back to... Hold on, I'm reading another big question. Oh yeah, this is related to the question that we just answered. So Christine asked a question about her last cycle was like over a month ago, and she's not pregnant, and she feels like she's about to get her period, but it's been so long she doesn't understand. Christine, that's a great question. This happens, yes, if you've had stress, and I'm assuming that you did because you brought it up, like could this be due to stress? I'm assuming there'd been something stressful going on. Yes. Cortisol, the stress hormone, can stop ovulation and slow down the cycle. So, in this situation, I would say if your body is about to get your period, and you feel that way, it's likely that you are. So let that be what it's going to be. And then immediately, download the app, myflowtracker.com, and get yourself going with cycle syncing so that you can help your body dietarily deal with the effects of stress from this past month and a half so that you don't kind of repeat this pattern, right? You want to tighten up your cycle and get right back on the right schedule. Okay, to the question about bioidentical progesterone cream and PMS, great question. I don't really recommend bioidentical progesterone cream for women in their reproductive years because you want to give your body the chance nutritionally to bring back its own hormonal production, and because you have, you're young and you're vital, you have time on your side to do that. I only really think bioidentical progesterone cream is really a potentially good thing to consider if you're in the second half of perimenopause. Like if you were going to do it at all, I would do it then. Because what's happening in the second half of perimenopause is you are in fact making less hormones. Fact. In your reproductive years, if you're not having enough hormones, that is just a nutritional deficiency. Whereas in perimenopause, it isn't necessarily a nutritional deficiency. It's a part of the process. It's what's supposed to happen. In your reproductive years, it's not what's supposed to happen, and you can bounce back with diet very quickly. Second half of perimenopause, you are supposed to be making less, and in that situation, if you haven't done any cycle syncing and your back's up against a wall and you're really suffering, I think in that case, it's okay to try bioidentical progesterone for a period of time just to help mitigate symptoms until you can change your diet and improve things nutritionally, and then you can go off of that. Okay, let's see. I'm looking for good questions. Can losing weight cause a short-term drop in estrogen? Depends on how much weight you've lost, but yes, any significant weight loss can impact your cycle. Hi from Portugal. Hello, Teresa. Let's see. Now I'm just keep scrolling. Okay. All right. Okay, so we have a couple questions from Dominique and Juliet. about chronic yeast infections. Wait, I just lost my spot here. And pumpkin seeds and flax seeds, and estrogen dominance. Yeah, listen, I actually think with the benefits from the flax has actually been clinically shown to reduce the risk of breast cancer. So using ground up flax seeds is a great fiber to have, great essential fatty acids, and it helps with the estrogen dominance that is, a part of that, cancer-forming estrogen dominance. So I think flax seeds are a good thing, and I wouldn't be as worried about them. If you're concerned about seeds and you're having some other symptoms, you can just omit seeds for a time until you feel like your estrogen dominance is under control. That's perfectly fine. I don't really consume a lot of, and then you shouldn't feel scared to have them on occasion, though, because, you would have to have so much in order for that to really impact your estrogen. I wouldn't be overly concerned. If you're having chronic yeast infections every month, Dominique, I would say that it is following a cyclical trend, and you have fibrocystic breasts. It sounds like there's a bit of hormonal imbalance going on, and estrogen dominance can certainly be a part of that. So yes, doing the flow protocol at 29 will absolutely turn the corner for you, get your hormones back on balance, get your microbiome sorted out. You really just need the whole full Monty to get all of this addressed. And then, it can be something that's just a bad memory. This is a good question. Willpower and PMS. Yeah, it's so hard before your period if you have cravings for, junk food, right? Of course you're having cravings for junk food before your period. Why is that? Because you're micronutrient depleted. So you're going to be craving extreme foods, like extremely fatty foods, like fried foods, because you need essential fatty acids, not because you need fried foods. You're not deficient in fried foods, you're deficient in essential fatty acids. Or you're craving salt because you're deficient in magnesium, right? Or you're craving carbohydrates because you're deficient in B vitamins. You have to look at your cravings. You're craving dairy because you're deficient in calcium. You look at your cravings, they're a clue to what micronutrients you're deficient in. And then there really isn't, there's not really such a thing as willpower from a biochemical standpoint. You're either craving things because you're micronutrient deficient, or you're hungry because ghrelin and leptin are in play. This idea that you're somehow supposed to be in control is, again, because we're not taught how much our biochemistry drives our behavior. We don't like to think that we have all these animal instincts, these biochemical things driving our behavior, but we do. And so, we are not just animals, right? We're humans, and what the distinction between us and our animal family is that we have the cognitive ability to observe these instincts, these impulses, and interpret them to our advantage. So you can look at your cravings and interpret them to your advantage by saying, oh, I'm obviously deficient in micronutrients. Let me take a multivitamin right away. Let me take an essential fatty acid supplement right away. Let me eat the healthier versions of these things. And then let me start cycle syncing. Let me download my flow and let me get in the flow protocol, because then this can be a distant memory. This binge eating before your period can be a distant memory in just 1 to 2 cycles. And that is an amazing thing. Carbs, just B vitamins, Lynn. You gotta eat the right way throughout the month. If you don't eat the right way the whole month long, of course, by the time you get to the luteal phase, you're gonna feel like you're starving to death. So let's see here. Other questions? Okay, that's what I wanted. Negin had a great question. Your lower abdomen feels so inflamed on the left side. I would go have that evaluated by a medical doctor immediately. If it's something that's chronic, you want to have your ovaries checked. You want to make sure that it's you want to rule out anything. I would 100% go see a doctor and make sure that you have a full evaluation to rule out anything really major. And then if it's really digestive, then that's something that will get cleared up very easily with changing your diet to include more phytonutrients and fiber and all of that, and even some probiotics. But I would immediately go see someone. And Elise, thank you. You're 20 and you're making everyone read it. Good, good, good. That's the way to go. Spread the flow. What do I think about acupuncture? I love acupuncture. I think it's really good. I think it helps break up stagnation. It works on the fascia, the connective tissue between everything, and I think it really opens up circulation. I think it can be a huge benefit. I think it's a great thing to do. But again, it can't do the deep biochemical transformation that is required that only food can do. So you think of it, you can use it in tandem. I mean, there's so many wellness practices that work in concert, right? Like food and exercise and sleep and body work and acupuncture and meditation and being out in the sun. That's a therapy. So, all of these things you want to think of as not just one, but what is your symphony of support that you need to help you? Okay, let's see. All right. I'm looking. Oh, this is an important one. Okay. Yes. All right. We're going to do 2 last questions, and then I know we're getting to the end of our hour. Another hour, another live Facebook hour. So happy that you all want to hang out with me for so long. Okay, so we're going to talk about sleep because Melissa had a great question about sleep. And we are going to talk about exercise and moodiness. How do we do exercise when we feel tired and moody before our cycle? And I want to definitely address these 2 things. Okay, so first we'll talk about the sleep. Okay, so tips for better sleep. I know that a lot of women struggle with insomnia leading up to their period, and that's a real thing, very much about micronutrient deficiency. So first things first, you've got to get on a good magnesium supplement. I recommend magnesium glycinate so that you don't have any bowel distress from that, because the typical magnesium citrate can be can loosen the stool. And so you can wake up and have a lot of loose stool, which who wants that? So magnesium glycinate does the same good magnesium repletion without giving you the bowel stuff. So I would definitely do that. But then instead of sleeping pills, which are, toxic to the body, right, because it's a synthetic substance, I would instead think about going with some herbal support, right? And I would start this herbal support in the mid-afternoon. I would, at 3 p.m., have you take something, have a tea called Tulsi, Tulsi. It's holy basil tea that really helps. It's an adaptogen. It helps calm down the nervous system, the adrenals. It's a really wonderful support. It's a soothing adaptogen. I would also 100% require you, I'm giving you squinty eyes, you are required to go off of all coffee. If you cannot sleep at night, it is very likely due. Insomnia can be caused just by having a cup of coffee in the morning, especially if you're in perimenopause. So no more coffee, no more green tea, no more black tea, no caffeine, no soda, no nothing. I'm serious about that. Okay, then at 3 o'clock, we're going to do our little holy basil tea. Then you take your magnesium at morning and night. Okay, after dinner, you take some magnesium. You can take it in the morning. You want to really give a lot of repletion. And then a couple hours before bed, 2 hours before bed, I would have you take some wild oat straw tincture. So you want to get that. It's like a little dropper bottle, little pipette, and you can order it from various brands like Herb Farm or Gaia Herbals. Any liquid tincture. You can get the ones that are alcohol-free. They're suspended in glycerin instead. That's beautiful. And then you just take your little droppers and put it in a little shot glass of water, and you just, that's a good use for, what do you do with all your old shot glasses when you no longer drink alcohol? I use them for herbal tinctures. So that's what you can use your shot glasses for. If you don't have a tiny little espresso cup, what do you do with your espresso cups when you don't drink espresso anymore? Use it for your herbal tinctures. So that's what you can do. You can start taking that. And you can do one 2 hours before, you can do one right before bed. And even if you wake up in the middle of the night, you can do it again. It's not habit forming. It's not going to hurt you. You can't it's really, it's an adaptogen that really helps calm down the nervous system. You can take melatonin on occasion, but what I have seen is that in the United States, this is not a controlled hormone. Melatonin is a hormone, and in Europe, you have to be prescribed melatonin. So what that tells me is that here we're probably getting too big of a dose in the supplement form that you can buy over the counter. So I don't really love that, because I think whenever you're taking any kind of bioidentical hormone, less is the way to go. Less is more. So on occasion, you could take melatonin if, for example, you've had like crazy transatlantic, super long flights, and you're all jet lagged and you're all screwed up with your circadian rhythms. That would be a time where I would say that, But everything else, the tincture for insomnia, Maria and Lynn, wild oats, milky seed. It's the ridiculous name. It's one thing. It's not two things. It's one name. Wild oats, milky seed. That's the tincture. And you can buy it from Herb Farm, Gaia Herbals. There's lots of different, and it's liquid tincture. I would get the alcohol-free kind just to be extra supportive to your liver, okay? Decaf coffee is not a good alternative, too toxic. You're right. Yeah, I would not do that. Okay, then I promised you I would talk about exercise. I'm just checking the time. Exercise and, how do you stay consistent with your exercise if you're tired and you're moody? And listen, I want you to listen to yourself. If you're really too tired, then maybe you should not exercise that day. Maybe your exercise that day should be a professional nap. I mean, I'm trying to be silly because why don't we do that for ourselves, right? I have a 2-year-old daughter. When she's hit the wall, I don't say to her, come on, honey, push through that fatigue. Let's go play some more on that swing set. You can do it. Another 2 rounds on the jungle gym. It's silly. It's ridiculous. I would say, okay, you are tired. Immediately we need to get you some rest. We need to sleep. Let me snuggle you. Let me comfort you. You need sleeping. I know, it's hilarious, right? I want you to do the same thing. Sometimes when you're tired, it's because something's wrong. Like you didn't get enough sleep the night before, or you didn't eat right that day, or there's something crazy going on in your life. And what you need is a professional nap. That is like serious, like do it like the right way, okay? But that aside, if you are tired and you're trying to heal from your hormonal imbalance, you're starting the cycle syncing, but you're like the first cycle in and you haven't yet resolved your PMS, and so you really do have fatigue and moodiness and you still have your PMS symptoms, I want you to just lighten up on the exercise. So in the app, in the MyFlow app, we give you the list of exercises that are appropriate for the luteal phase that are going to be very nurturing for the adrenals. So you can do much lighter things go to all these, just go to YouTube. You can find like a 20-minute Pilates video, floor Pilates. Do that. Stay home. Don't go to the gym. Do you know that I don't really go to the gym? Revealed. I work out at home and I work out outside. I don't like commuting. It's just, I don't know. I have so much going on. I have so little time to like commute places that I don't like, I would rather be exercising instead of walking, or I live in the city, so I would walk to the gym. I'd rather be like doing the workout. So I like to work out at home, and I like to work out outside. That's what I like to do, and it saves me a lot of time and it makes it a lot more doable. And then it's like one less obstacle for me, because I don't want to push myself if I'm already tired. I'm like, all right, what can I, like gentle, like at home, what could I do if I'm tired and moody? I might do a yin yoga online, or a Pilates, or I might go for a walk. I might take my daughter and go for a walk with her in the stroller and call a friend. And that is so healthful on so many levels. health promoting. I exercising and moving my body, and the walking is literally the best exercise for you. And I'm getting that social support that I need from calling a friend. So that's, I want you to just be in like a compassionate, loving love affair with yourself. What can you do to make yourself feel good? Not like, all right, push yourself. Stop being so hard on yourself. You got to feel good. All right. Girls, it's like 3:15. We've been on for a long time. I want us to wrap up because we'll come back and do this next week at 2 o'clock. And I love you all for your questions. This is really a fun class. And I love that we had some chances to answer so many questions and have some laughs. And I love you. Thank you for all the hearts. This is so much fun. I literally come to you every day, every Thursday on my couch in my like yoga clothes. And it's like sweet time with you. I think we'll have to start doing like, which tea am I drinking? The next time we'll start doing like tea time. Maybe we should all have the same kind of tea together. But yes, I'm looking forward to our next call. Thank you for being with me for so long. Thank you for sharing this with the women in your life. Share the video, post it on your page. You can do that. Once it goes live on my page, you can share it on your page. Share it. And then make sure you download the app, My Flow Tracker. And let's do some more cycle syncing together next week, all right? We'll have some new fun topic, and we'll talk soon, all right? Big kisses, big love to your ovaries. You're wonderful. You're a woman. It's a great time to be a woman, and I'll talk to you all very soon. All right, ladies. Until then, see you later.